Of course, it was just as I decided to wash my hair that I was called to make these videos. So here I am. Um, I'm calling this video Abuse 50 Shades of Justifications. I am going to share my own experience, but I am not recommending anything. I'm not advising anyone. I don't have the right, I feel, to know what's best for someone else, or to even start to understand what someone else has gone through. So this is just my sharing of my own experience. When I fall in love, I fall very hard, very deep, and somehow, and I've got no idea how I got here, but I was desperate for love, desperate to be loved as I am, desperate to be loved at all, and especially desperate to have a partner who can help me to sustain myself, because I was so scared in the past few years, that was, to be able to survive on my own. So scared of thinking that I can't. I felt so small-faced to the world, and especially living in the big city and coming from the countryside. I've always had that feeling of feeling very small in a very big, scary world almost. And so I met someone, and there was a very strong attraction, and things went really quick. I didn't have the time to think or decide what I needed to do or wanted to do. A part of me thought I need to be connecting to this person just so that I can help them heal, because I'm a healer. And there was a strong intuition that was telling me this, but at the same time, there was a strong pull that was telling me, oh, forget about the healing and enjoy this. And so I listened to the pull. And right from the start, I could not talk because the other person would not um, be receptive to communication, saying they can't handle it, saying they can't understand whenever I try to talk, especially with messages, a bit long messages. So I could not express myself or my needs, and I could not express the challenges I was encountering with that person. And I've always been told to shut up since I was little. And that is something that I find very challenging. And so this was really hard for me. And then there was never a particular understanding of what the relationship was. And so there is this concept of situationship, which suits well for people who actually, no, I'm not going to go down that route, because it can situationships can be a trap set by some people that can benefit from it. But there's also many people who may be in a situationship and it works for them. So I'm not going to go down that route. But basically, I was in a situationship and I had no idea what the connection was, although I thought we were together. And there was an enjoyment of each moment spent together, but there was not always clear communication, obviously, because I couldn't express myself, and the other person was never sharing anything of what they feel or experience. But there was there was moments where there was no moments of the day where there was no communication and there was no clarity as to what was happening during those times. There was so much that was not said, that there was a whole part of the other person's life that was not known. And there was reactions if a man was bringing awareness to me, like in the street, or there would be a reaction of back off, she's mine. And at the same time, they was flirting with other women in front of me. And so I'm calling these 50 shades of justification, and I need to get into this now. They was blaming on me for things that went wrong every time. Every time that something went wrong, it was my fault. So sorry, I'll go back to the justification in a minute, but I just need to give a little bit more to get a bit quicker into explaining the reality of my experiencing of the reality of the situation, because the other person might have experienced this completely differently. I had not understood how intelligent the person was, who in one night, who when they never slept most of the time at night, would play out situations in their head in so many different ways, and it seems then picking one that suits them best to get most of what they need out of me, including money, including time, including so I stopped. I'm a strong meditator. I'm a yoga teacher. I stopped meditating and I stopped doing yoga. Whenever they wanted me to be over, I had to be over. Otherwise, it would create chaos. Um, and so I justified to myself. The first thing I thought is, oh, so that person is not comfortable communicating because they've had traumas. So it's okay. We'll just do it like this. It's hard. I don't know where I stand. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm this, I'm that. But it's okay because they're doing their best and blah, blah, blah. Oh, they keep checking other women out and flirting with them. Oh, but they're doing it in front of me. So that means that what can I say? They know that I know that they're flirting with other women. So they would not go out with other women behind my back because they are doing the extent of what they can do with other women in front of me. They are open about it. Again, self-justification that is rubbish and not true at all. Because it turns out that that other person had many connections with other women while in connection with me. Or they are never doing anything for me. They are never giving me because they have been so traumatized. And so I completely understand the pain they went through. And certainly I've not had that much trauma. So I can make an effort and give more. Or I'm always sleeping on the floor, but it's okay because I like sleeping on the floor. Yeah, they are comfortable on their bed and they are probably a lot warmer because they are higher up, but it's okay. I can sleep on the floor in this tiny little space, and I'm happy here because I'm by their side. The first, I was trying to think of the word that would come up now after this, and the first thing that came up is anyway. Okay, now I have to leave them because it's not working for me. So I leave them. And of course, it goes into a panic, and of course, they can't cope and they get stressed. So, the wonderful healer that I am, most generous healer that I am, I can't abandon someone in so much pain and chaos. So, okay, I'll stay and I'll just be here for healing you and helping you to go through this. But then, of course, the situationship that had turned into a healer to healing connection was growing again into a friendship and then into that situationship again. Oh, but that person really needs me. They need me for this, they need me for that, to give them love, to give them care, to give them comfort, to give them a massage, to give them treatment, to So many justifications. I have to be there for that person, and it's okay. I can take it. And this is the thing. Oh my gosh, this is the biggest trap I've ever had myself. It's I can cope with things. So it is better that I go through hell and the other person has it easier because they can't cope. Well, it turns out not only is it that I can't cope as well as I thought I could and suffered from the abuse and still have some residual traumatic responses due to it. Not only that, but I deserve a lot more than being given the worst of situations, of care, of crap, of life. So much more I deserve. I deserve everything. I don't want to forget anything, so I'm going to take my time. It will make it a long video, but I really want to try and get most of the things in. So self-justification, I can't leave them because if I leave them, they hurt too much. I am, excuse me, I am suffering like hell while I am in this situationship. But I have to stay in the situationship, otherwise it's too hard for the other person. Also somehow in the background, but this came up stronger afterwards, very recently. We walked away from each other in May last year. So now we are in January. And oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Hang on, I'm gonna pause this, try to find my thoughts, the line of my thoughts again, and I'll come back on. Yes, that's it. I remember. It only took 2 seconds. Okay, so I retrospectively realized that now I am experiencing the fear of the consequences of how that person could behave with me if I walked away. Their behavior could have become damaging to me. And also, they are very good at manipulating to get what they want. And I never really noticed how clever they are. Really, the depth of their intelligence. And I'm talking like probably really high IQ. To be able to understand people, to have a total lack of emotional intelligence, and at the same time, a really great understanding of psychology somehow. And you see, even as I'm talking now, I'm describing the reality, but in my head and in my heart, still I'm like, oh, I still have that soft, oh, you poor thing. No, not poor thing. No matter how much I can understand that a human being suffers, that they have reasons to be traumatized, that they have very good reasons, that they've had so much lack of love, respect, and care. I don't have to be the one to provide that to them if it breaks me. And not even that. I don't have to provide that to them if it makes me uncomfortable. I am still really healing from this. I have so much I need to still sort out in myself from this. But this was a situation where I had to learn to love myself, and loving myself meant walking away. Because being with that person meant I had to choose them over me all the time. There was hardly a moment, very rarely a moment, where I was chosen first as a priority, where full attention was put on me, where my needs were catered for. And I know most of it was manipulation. And even now in my head, I'm trying to play back the scenes and trying to understand what I need to share with this video. And even then, now I'm still playing back the scenes and thinking, oh yeah, but so that person, they did that because they suffered from this. Still, automatically, I go into that. No, I should not have slept on that floor because I should have been offered to sleep on the bed. And if someone believes that everybody should be equal, and there's no need to be like, oh, because you come to my home, then I give you the best, or, everybody should have the best, then a bed should have been sorted for me. And there's no excuse and no reason why that was not happening. Food should have been provided for me. And certainly, I should not have had to pay for anything but for my own things. In terms of food, drinks, whatever. Clothes, even. Actually, maybe not clothes. I can't remember now. But the idea is stop. I need, me, myself, yes. I'm talking about my own experience. I need to stop justifying for anyone to hurt me or neglect me in any way. For anyone to give me less, not than what I deserve, but less than what feels right to me and to them. And if what feels right to me is too big for them, they are not the right person for me. If what I need is too much for the other person to give, and that there is no way of talking things through, explaining things, then that's not for me. And maybe some people are fine with people not talking to them and for non-verbal communication to exist, and that is completely fine. But you need, or rather, for me, I need to be thriving. I'm so sorry. I keep on going back to talking to other people or what they need to do, but actually, this video is not about other people. This is just my experience and my journey and how I've shifted through the past months. And now I forgot what I was saying. Dear. Hopefully it will come back. I have gone through a very long healing journey, and I've come through a lot and have gained so much confidence and so much comfort and happiness. And this is why you're seeing me now talking about this and giggling and laughing and being quite lighthearted about it. That is because I've done a lot of healing. But don't get me wrong, still someone comes to me, tells me, oh, I'm in love with you. I love you so much. I love what you say. I love what you do. I love who you are. And I could just, fall in the trap again. Yeah. Hopefully not, because hopefully this has been a heck of a learning curve for me. But I can never allow myself to think that I may not repeat the pattern again. So I'm observing myself. Yes, what I was going to say is this. I try to no longer overthink things. I try to no longer use my skills as a healer as a trap to be manipulated by others. So what I'm doing now is not justifying, pardon me, not justifying and not trying to overthink things so much or trying to understand things. Instead, focusing on how I feel. If I don't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, I need to step away. And it may feel unfair at times. And sometimes a good person can make me feel bad or uncomfortable. And I may decide to walk away from a connection because of that. But I come from a very big abuse. Well, very big, no, actually. There's much worse than what I've gone through in what people have experienced in their lives on this planet. But what I experienced was hard enough. And so for now, I am guarded. For now, I'm putting boundaries up. And for now, I don't fully trust myself yet to know what to do. And I'm going to talk about two more things on this video. The first one is love bombing. It is a term that I like, and at the same time I don't. But it is what happened to me when I first met that person. I said something to them that triggered them to think that I thought they were so amazing and so special, which was true at the time, of course. And that triggered for them to really want me so much. Because, of course, I made them feel good about themselves. Who doesn't like that? And so in response, love bombing. And it's not even so much in the time spent with me. Well, actually, it was kind of in the time spent with me and experience shared, but it was not a lot in so much in communication. But I had to be, because of course I am the one who had to travel to them. I had to be there almost all the time. And then they got so upset when I couldn't because I was working. And it's not that I didn't want to be there. It's not that I didn't want to spend time with them. But I just couldn't because I was working and I was trying to make a living. But that dimension did not exist in that person's mind. I should have spent my whole time with them. And of course, they then want money from me to provide for their needs. But if I don't work, how do I have money? Yes. Anyway, so that was the love bombing period. That got me completely thrown off course because I could not understand even what I was experiencing or why. Plus, there is the energetic experience of the pull, of the magnetic pull of the heart, and the sexual pull also, the magnetic pull of sexual attraction, and getting all lost in all that. I lost track of the fact that I could have been connected to that person only for healing purpose. It was absolute chaos throughout. I never felt good about myself in this relationship. Sorry, this situationship. Now I'm going to talk about another element of abuse and how to self-justify into acceptance of the abuse. And I must say that to this day, I don't know how much of this I experienced with that particular person, but I definitely experienced it with other people. The concept is gaslighting. I'm gonna just explain briefly, a very, very broad way, the story that is behind that word, because I can't remember much of it. But it was at the time when the houses were the lights in the houses were all commanded with one switch, and that they all worked on gas. And there was a couple living in a house like this. And at some point, the husband decided to induce doubt in his wife and to weaken her. And so he decided to dim the lights, so to reduce the amount of gas that goes in the lights. And then his wife went to him and said, "Hey, but aren't the lights a bit too low compared with usual?" And he would go like, "No, no, they're fine. They're just as normal." That is really the essence of gaslighting. Someone who makes you doubt what your intuition, what your gut feeling and your experiencing is. And so doubting, and for me with that person, it was misdirection, so more than actual gaslighting, or rather, how can I say this? I was not necessarily made to doubt what I experienced, but I was always being made to feel chaotic in my mind about things. Um, like you're looking in one direction, then you're pointed to the other direction where something's happening on this side. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing my hands. So my direction is on the problem right here, and then I'm being directed my attention to this side so that I don't notice what's happening here. There was a lot of that. And I think a lot of excessive confidence taking and actions taken on based on that made me feel like, no, what I have intuition of cannot be true. Like, for example, flirting with other women in front of me, making me think, well, he can't be seeing other women behind my back, otherwise he wouldn't be openly doing that in front of me. And but gaslighting is something important, and I have been exposed to this, where you are saying, oh, I'm experiencing that this is happening, and they're telling you, no, 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 this is not what's happening, that's not what I'm doing with you, and that's not what I'm saying to you. And then they redirect to another direction, and they use the same content, but they shift it. So I don't know if I can give an example. Or okay, so, oh, on your birthday, I'm so sorry, I forgot to buy you a present. um oh, but I gave you a present for your birthday. Yeah, 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 I didn't mean to not give you one. It's just that I completely forgot because I was so busy. You in your gut, you know they did it on purpose because they want to make you feel bad, because they are revenging from maybe you having a fight with them the week before or something. So they are telling you, you have an intuition and you know what's happening, and then they are telling you something that is different, to the point where you doubt yourself. And what that does is that little by little you end up doubting everything about you and what you perceive, so that the only thing that is left to trust is the other person's perception, because you clearly, after a while, obviously, cannot trust your own anymore. You can't trust your intuition, and you cannot trust what you are feeling and experiencing and how you're translating that to yourself. So you end up actually relying on the other person. And you see, this person that I was with only did a couple of things for me throughout, but there was a lot of talks and promises. Or actually, no, it wouldn't be a promise because that would have been too set in stone and too obligatory. But there was conversations on things that could potentially be done for me, but never were. Times and dates kept on pushing back. There was never any time for what needed to be done for me. unless it served them too. Like, unless it made them get money out of it, or, that they would be able to experience whatever it is that they had to make or do. And it took for both of us to be sick like dogs, for me to clean up his vomit from the floor and washing it in the sink on his second day of sickness, where I was on my first day of sickness. And then I felt so weak and tired, and still I was mopping his floor, his vomit. And then having the most, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like it, horrendous diarrhea that I've ever had in my life. Sorry for the details. And the second day, so that was his third day of being sick. And the second day, being kicked out of his place under the rain with 1 hour to drive, and believe me, there was no way I was going to make that hour without needing the toilet in between. Being kicked out of his place in a rush, no anger, just go, 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 please go. You need to go because this, because that. And I went, and as I was driving home, I was thinking, that man, he's going to be seeing another woman. And he's simply kicking me out so that he can have the time with that other woman who probably doesn't know about me. And by the way, I was probably wrong about that too. But so that then it took for me to be treated so bad like this. And again, it is so bad for me, but some people have had it much worse. I was really lucky. It took me to go through that moment to decide enough is enough. I choose me now. And to never look back, to walk away and never look back. I needed to choose me. And if someone stands in front of me and puts me in front of that choice so that I have to choose them or me, from now on I will choose me. And for some time I might even go the other way around and pick me no matter what, because I'm still recovering from the damage. Everyone told me I shouldn't be with that person. Everyone who met that person said to me that they are not comfortable with them. And everyone simply said I should leave them. And every time I justified it. They can't see what I see. They can't understand what that person's gone through. They don't know what's happening between the two of us. But the beauty of what was happening between the two of us was only me. And I'm not bragging. What it was that I was enjoying the fact of loving that person. I was not receiving love back. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I was only feeling my love for them. And that is what I couldn't let go of, thinking that actually it was their love for me, but I was wrong. Still, sometimes I don't pick myself first. But I'm learning, and every day I'm progressing. And so I have learned to put boundaries. Like, for example, one of the boundaries is, if you leave me, if someone is interested in being with me and starts a connection with me and then walks away and leaves me, so walks away, I don't allow that person to come back into my life. Second of all, if there's little communication and the other person is not allowing for clarity in the situation on how they feel about me and letting me express how they feel about them, and if there's any problem, any conflict, that they don't allow communication to help resolve the situation, I will walk away. If my basic needs and that is still wrong, but if my basic needs are not met, I walk away. And that's still a low boundary. It should be higher than this. Because really, we all deserve to be treated like queens and kings. No one is perfect, of course. And people will treat us in very different ways depending on the traumas they've gone through, the poor relationship experiences that they've had, and the level at which they have met themselves and healed. But I am healing, and I have the right to live my life how I wish to. If it means I'm alone, then I'm alone. If no one wants to feed the bill, that's fine. And that's that is, by the way, not an easy thing to get to. To accept to be on your own, it's scary. It's not comfortable by any means. And it takes a lot of strength to let go of what we are attached to. But the sense of peace we get once we are out of the abuse is absolutely magical. I think I'm going to leave it at this. And I will just say, watch me grow and blossom. Healing, continuing to heal this trauma, and continuing to heal what it is that got me into it. One more boundary that I have is I am never doing a situationship again, and I am never going to function in a gray area. And I'm saying these things, and maybe I will change my mind with those depending on the person that I meet, if I meet someone. And I may allow for my boundaries to shift. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to finish with this one. I'm going to continue, and I'm sorry this is going to make a very long video. And I have mentioned these things before, but I'm going to talk about one more relationship I've had, which was also very abusive to me. Just to show that there's a pattern there. And when we recognize the patterns, it's easier to not fall into the traps. Distance relationship this time, over the phone, over Facebook. The person approached me saying, I think you are my twin flame. No one had ever said that to me after, I don't know how old I was. I was in my early 40s. And no one had ever said that to me, so I figured he must be telling the truth. And so I started believing his story. I was so easily manipulated then because I was so scared of surviving, even more so than at the time of the relationship I just described before, which was only last year. Anyway, so a few years ago, that person was in a different country. So that makes it quite challenging. And we started talking. But the talking was brief, and if I tried to talk longer, I would be told that they like the silence. Just 1 minute, I'm going to pause to drink water. Yes, so there would always be a greeting. Something celebrating my feminine essence. And wanting to do to connect with me, but again, like I said, very little number of words. Um, doing sexual practices. And of course, it was always me doing something while he was at work, which was the weirdest thing. And I was so uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it. And still, what did I do? I did it. And then he would say, "Oh, you don't want to do this, like a sexual practice. You don't want to do this. Oh, okay, you don't have to do it this time, but next time you're gonna have you this time. Next time you're doing it." I was scared. I was uncomfortable, and I was even not particularly attracted to that man. And at the same time, somehow, I just thought, okay, he said that we are twin flames, so let's go. And then things got worse and worse. I felt worse and worse. And at some point, I felt like I was drowning in a, I don't know, it felt like I was in a tornado of darkness, is what it felt like. And at the same time, that tornado would be like one of those swirly things in the water where I was just drowning in the darkness. And so I just stopped. I ended the relationship. Oh, but by the way, oh, sorry, I need to get some more water. Somebody doesn't want me to talk. Okay. Um, yeah, when at some point I said, "Oh, so I live with my ex-husband," and I said to him, "Oh, I'll tell my ex-husband about you." He goes, "Oh, better you don't tell him." So I thought, okay, fine. And then one day, after a month and a half or something, I told my ex-husband, and then I told him that I did. And he goes, "Oh, I'm not ready for a relationship." Wow. Really doesn't want me to talk about this. Interesting. Okay. Um, so I went in a whirlwind of chaos because I was thinking, okay, now I've talked to my ex-husband about it, and now we can really start to move forward with this connection. I was thinking I may have to go and move in with him where he is, or you know, but it turns out he didn't want that. So I then said, okay, bye then. And then he tried to recreate a connection again, and using again a sexy, like a photo with deep red colors, like with a very voluptuous flower or things like that, like pictures of nature or of women or men and women together that felt romantic and sexy, but without being sexful, if that makes sense. To entice really and to seduce is how it felt. That's how I experienced it. And so he would keep on sending me these images in the, first thing that he would connect with me every day, even though I said I'm ending this. And then so he was still trying to push against my wish, basically. And also another thing with him is there was only specific moments of the day where I could really message him because he was too busy in the morning, he was too busy at the weekend. So there was never really much time for me apart from when we're doing sexual practices. And but this is complicated a bit because there's a backstory to this where he was actually more interested in doing tantra practices with me to harness my sexual energy and whatever. But I'm not gonna go into that today. But there was a lot of manipulation like this. There was a lot of, again, no communication possible, blocking me, like stopping me from talking. Again, like just now, I kept on coughing, yeah. Um, so blocking me and not being able to talk and communicate things, not getting any information from him. Uh, he had said to me, "Oh, my sister, yeah, she's an Ayurvedic practitioner, I think it was." And I had just said to him I needed help. I was thinking of seeing an Ayurvedic specialist for certain health issues I had, but somehow he never got to talking to his sister to help me. So it was always like the carrot there, both relationships, the carrot's there, but you can't quite get it. Uh, so with him, he was a distance anyway. With the first one I mentioned, I could never be. I wanted to be kissed so much. I wanted to be held so much, and somehow I was never given that. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've never felt so much aching in my heart for wanting something and not being given it. It was horrendous. Uh, it's just like if you're, to me, it feels like it's the same as being seated in a cage, having not eaten for a week, having a bowl of food on the floor, just a little bit too far to be able to reach, is what it felt like. And there was a lot of punishment, like vengeance, like you did not give me this or you did that to me, and then getting vengeful action. Of course, the reasons and motivations behind why I wouldn't give something or do something were very different from his. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to share those things because I justified myself into staying in the abuse each time. And I just went downhill to the point where I couldn't cope with everyday life. And this last year, from May onwards, it's like I had a bright energy going through summer, and then it just went downhill, 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 downhill because I was getting like, it's like almost as if I was absorbing the traumas deeper and deeper and deeper into me now that the connection was over. And I am someone who's very energetic and who can feel things and energies. And I've been feeling this, the man that I walked away from in May. I've been feeling his energy with me so much, as if he's like trying to stay connected so that he can have me there just in case. And of course, he's got other women, so it's like, just in case if I want to go back to her, she's there. And I feel sometimes a lot of anger because, of course, everything that happened is my fault, you see. I am the bad guy. And actually, that's something I can leave you with here. It is okay to be the bad guy in somebody else's story. If that means that you give yourself respect, that you choose yourself, that you love yourself, and that you do an action of self-care, it is okay to be the bad guy. It's okay for someone to hate you, for someone to be angry with you, for someone to think you are horrible, stupid, or bad, whatever. It is okay to be the bad guy in another person's story if you have taken actions for your own care, for your own sanity, and for your own happiness. Of course, if you go with a gun and shoot the person, not so much. Yeah? No, this was a joke, but it's really it's something I'm learning because I'm feeling people's energies. So I feel it when people blame me and when people are angry with me. Actually, it's quite chaotic for me when that happens, because I just perceive things, emotions so strongly. Um, but it is okay. No matter how hard you can try to be good, to be a good-hearted person, if you walk away from someone who's been abusing you and using you, they are not gonna be happy. And most likely they're not even going to see why you're walking away, because all they're going to see and want is, I want the good stuff back. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave you with this now. And now it's almost 50 minutes. I'm really sorry that it's been that long, but I really felt driven to share this today, although that was really not the plan. And so I hope that my story helps to understand things and maybe help to share clarity on certain situations. I'm sending you much peace and much love.